News opens its fashion vaults to the most important, influential, and trend-setting designers of the last 30 years. Designer Marathon brings you a unique chronicle of the milestone moments, the landmark collections, the exhibitions, the favorite models, and the creative process behind every designer's career. From the first to the last, from the shocking to the classics, follow the evolution of the world's top designers from rising star to fashion icon. It's all here in the vault, a retro-spectacular timeline, a designer marathon. In 1995, the fashion spotlight landed on Antonio Berardi. Initially dubbed the next Galliano, Berardi has created a name for himself by injecting a sense of his heritage into his work.
I come from a Sicilian household. It's very Baroque, it's very overly embellished.
While his collections are often imbibed with religious symbolism that are a result of his Roman Catholic upbringing, Berardi's signature almost always retains a certain sex appeal.
At Berardi we do very tight because that's what people want from us.
Though he got his start in London, Berardi presented his collection in Milan for over 6 years and finally made the leap to the Paris calendar in 2005. And his diffusion line made its debut in New York. Berardi's name has truly become an international one.
He's been dubbed the next Galliano. Antonio Berardi's first runway show was the most sought-after ticket in London. This recent Central St. Martin's graduate assembled a dream team to help launch his first collection.
He's the hot new talent.
He is, indeed.
Well, Antonio's clothes are absolutely drop-dead gorgeous and in a very modern kind of way. They're really sexy.
I met Tony some time ago and he's made a number of outfits for me. He's so pleasant, he's so talented that I was more than happy to be here with him. I'm very proud of him. It's a lovely show.
Fans of this hot young designer include Manolo Blahnik, who designed shoes for the show. Fellow Brits Philip Tracy did the hats and Anya Hindmarch created the handbags.
It's a great honour, really, and it's kind of nice that they want to help out young people, you know. So I feel very proud and very privileged to have Philip and Manolo and Anya and all those people doing great things for me. My inspiration comes a lot from my background. My parents are Sicilian, and it also comes from things that I enjoy, like clubs and music. A lot of the inspiration came from New York, actually, which is a place that I love, and yeah, that's it, I guess. Hopefully it will go somewhere, and hopefully people like what they saw, and so, you know, we'll just take it from there. But it's kind of like, I'm new to this, so we'll just play it by ear, I guess.
I loved what he did. I thought it was amazing. I love his sleeves, his details, his incredible seaming. There were just amazing things in the show.
British superstar John Galliano, young designer Antonio Berardi showed in his second collection that he's someone to watch.
It's kind of traditionally English in sections, and it's very attitudey, and it's basically my interpretation of women, I guess.
And what is your interpretation of women?
Very sexy, without being too sexy, and just women looking like women, basically, and women looking good. kind of quite sculptural, which is what I like about it, and it emphasises shape. Like some of the jackets are pigeon-chested, so whether you have a bust or not, it gives the illusion of a bust, and things are cut for the hips and that kind of thing. So you get like great hourglass silhouettes, and it's kind of really feminine, ultra feminine in fact.
Antonio Berardi is one of my absolute favourites. I've watched his first show last season with tremendous interest, and I thought he had a really funky and outrageous approach, and yet the basis of his collection is extremely good quality fabrics, and it's just the way he treats them. He takes a fabric like a tweed or a chiffon, and he does things with it, and it looks absolutely beautiful and sophisticated.
I think that's what fashion designers should be. They should be setting trends rather than following, and hopefully, you know, we all produce something which is not necessarily now, but 6 months' time it's the right thing. So hopefully you've got it right.
This is London's Designer to Watch. Each season, Antonio Berardi hones his skill, influenced by former employer John Galliano.
It's his third show, and I think it actually really established him as somebody who is going somewhere, rather than someone who is something like a two-show or a one-show wonder.
I design for women that want to be women, want to look like women and feel like women.
It was really good to do something which was sort of resolutely feminine.
We used Lalique because the collection had a very delicate feel, and so the idea was that the jewels would enhance the clothes and vice versa.
It's a real show, and I think what I really appreciate in my job is sometimes when I get the occasion to really play and get another energy, you know, something more personal, and you really have to act, and this is so fantastic.
In Antonio's clothes, I feel good, you know, I feel like sexy, but I also feel nice and comfortable.
All I do is try and not even enhance the female form, because the female form's beautiful anyway, but it's almost to make something that fits it.
Antonio Berardi is London's next great hope, and this season doesn't disappoint. Creating a show that was hotter than hell, Berardi even captured the attention of the elusive artist formerly known as Prince.
I think he proved his true worth as a designer. The collection was just full of ideas.
It was inspired by voodoo. So it was about secrecy and passion and all those things, and we just tried to recreate our own little kind of almost like gathering here.
The inspiration was actually this wild woman. You know, she was she's not mad, but she's possessed.
It was like divas from hell. Everybody was putting more and more and more of themselves. I love it. I love the energy. It's really strong.
I've really been wanting to do his show for a long time, so I was happy to do it, and it was in like the most beautiful place, and it was gorgeous.
With a little more cash flowing his way this season, Berardi was able to really flex his creative muscle.
I've got an Italian manufacturer now, and it was basically because I could do things that I'd never been able to do before in England, like leather. So we just tried things out.
I actually appreciate very much one thing in Antonio, is that idea that a young designer can have a desire for quality. He does make proper clothes that you can believe a woman dressing like that. It's not like a young designer that wants to do the weirdest things possible.
Woman is always first and foremost, you know, and it's just kind of accentuating what's already there, really.
You lusted after the clothes.
His vision is fantastic. He has an enormous vision.
You ain't seen nothing yet. The clothes arrived today, and there's 2 days to go, and there's that feeling of, I'm not sure whether I like that, and how should I have done this, should I have done that?
With just 48 hours to showtime, Antonio Berardi knows the pressure of living up to the media hype.
But it kind of is a struggle because obviously it's pleasing buyers now, which we never really had to do until last season, and obviously pleasing the press and giving them something interesting and meaty. Can you just walk in there? That's so beautiful. This is from a Sicilian section. We made it out of hankies. It's carved in one piece, which apparently is quite rare. And then we had the flowers made in Murano, near Venice. So they kind of twinkle when you walk. Maybe I can show you a few things. But we did things like tooled leather. The woman that knitted it didn't want to do it because she said it was blasphemous. But I just thought, well, you know, I'm Catholic. What's the problem with it? And this is really interesting because it took 14 women 3.5 months to make. It's bobbin lace. It literally laces up with bobbins, and so they hang from everywhere. And it's almost as if it's still being made. It's quite nice to do a little towel dress because I think a woman wrapping a towel around her is the sexiest thing. This is from a rock and roll kind of Las Vegas-y section, which we wanted something harder and kind of naughtier. People want to go to a great show, and people are more interested in seeing something wonderful unfold, you know, in front of their eyes.
But even the day of the show, Berardi remains undaunted by the fierce pressure of the international fashion pack.
I'm sure it's going to be great. You can see there's so many people backstage, it's got to be good, you know? Come all the way to Brixton for it must be.
Suddenly, here I am in the Brixton Academy with this huge catwalk, like a stage. And I thought, can the boy do it?
It's not just about clothes anymore, which is a sad kind of fact. And obviously I do care about the clothes, so the clothes are just as important, but you almost still have to give people that little piece of magic.
He's an ice cream manufacturer's son, and his mum and dad are up in Leicestershire making ice cream, and here's this kid who's like 28, suddenly turning on the magic.
His clothes are they're very sexy. He likes a woman's figure, her shape, and he likes to accentuate that. And there's, you know, the touches of madness, and his tailoring's fantastic.
He appreciates the female form. He wants you to be as strong and as sexy as you can. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's no reason to be androgynous. Flaunt what you have.
It was very interesting to see how he had a lot of ideas before, and he's managed to develop each of them and really brought them a lot farther than what they were before.
His talent can only now be fully exploited and flowering in an atelier in Paris where you've got like 1 million seamstresses. Paris, take him, please. Antonio has just got an amazing appreciation of a woman's body, and he wants a woman to look sexy.
Antonio Berardi mixes sexiness with girl power. This combination drew a crowd which dazzled almost as much as what was on the runway.
Antonio Berardi, well, for a start, when you walk in there, like, this place is heaving, and in the middle of it is Posh Spice, Victoria Adams, and her fiancé, David Beckham, who is probably one of the most famous footballers in the world. I mean, you could see her just totting it off. You know, number one, number two, yes, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that. Posh Spice is thinking, the moment I've had this baby, these are the clothes I'm going to get into.
While Berardi often serves up a taste of the unexpected, he had several surprises up his sleeve.
The surprise was the menswear, because I thought I should show people that I can do it.
The moment the menswear came out, you could tell that this is the kind of gear that David Beckham is going to wear, and that Victoria, Posh Spice, his wife-to-be, is going to tell him, you buy that, honey, you buy that.
And then the surprise were the gold shoes and the gold and suede bikini. Some of the hats were porcelain, and I just love the way that things are finished in gold. And because the girls weren't wearing any jewellery, we decided to do the gold shoes and the gold bikini because it summed it up.
It was amazing, it was sexy.
It's really special. It's really special to be on a Berardi catwalk.
If I tackle anything, then hopefully I do it in a good way. I think no young designer would even dream of showing in Milan, so I thought, well, that's the place for me, why not?
Known for his theatrics, Brit Antonio Berardi did not shy away from the dramatic, even when presenting for the first time in the conservative town of Milan.
Milan is the biggest challenge of all.
I thought it was a very dramatic and powerful show. His sense of colour, his sense of real high-octane glamour came through very, very powerfully. The clothes were beautifully made. This is something that the Italians appreciate, and of course they all were made in Italy.
Berardi took inspiration for his collection from the controversial 15th century Florentine noblewoman, Lucrezia Borgia.
She was the daughter of a pope. She was supposedly a great beauty. She supposedly had affairs with her father and her brother. She poisoned lovers. She was married so many times, and at the end of it she became a nun. So I love all the contradiction in it.
It was a very, very strong show with a very strong religious motif, and there were definitely strong punk elements in there, which I quite like to see.
The punk aspect was because this is the last collection of the century and the millennium, and punk was probably one of the most important things that happened during my lifetime. So it's kind of like a final nod before going into the next millennium. We threw in like tiny little details where people would realise either punk or they'd think 15th century, and then we kind of like just twisted it up and made something new out of it.
The clothes really flaunt the feminine side of the woman, you know, the sexual side of her, and it's that sort of power that woman has, you know.
Bringing sexy, hard, beautiful women back. You know, maybe I helped with that. My show's over now, and so I have time for myself. And I'm going to take you into Mandarina Duck, which is here on Via Monte Napoleone. I've got the bag and I need the clothes. This is very me, actually. I'm going to slip these on and I'll show you guys what they look like. Okay, I kind of feel a bit army-fied, but it's great. So I can wear them both separately or wear them together. And it's very me. This is me because it's kind of great design, lovely fabric, it's modern.
The one that you just tried on.
And at the same time, it's really simple, which is kind of the way I dress, which is completely different from what I do. What colour do you like, So? Green? Sophia I met when I was doing my second show, and Sophia's like family now, but she has a very modern eye, and sometimes I might like something and she'll say no.
No, it was very probably really honest. She doesn't know.
She doesn't like it?
No.
at times I think I'm right. I kind of like it.
Can I just say, no,
No, I feel she's
Chairman
right.
Mao. No, it's too Chairman Mao.
It's a brilliant working relationship because we both appreciate very beautiful things.
Oh, that's lovely. I like that. I do. Really like that.
You like that? Oh, I'm losing my pants, excuse me. It's really funny because buying a normal pair of trousers now, I'm so unused to it. I'm so used to them falling down.
You're losing your trousers.
No, that's quite normal.
Would you like to try also the bag?
I have the bag.
You have
I have
the bag?
that one. It has brilliant hidden attachments. We have camera, film, cigarettes, passport. Great, they have lots of gadgets and hidden details. Men love gadgets and they love, you know, like things that open up and become things. They're just packing it up for me. Well, I don't shop very often, so when I do, I like to go mad. Bye.
Bye.
With his family rooting for him in their native Italy, Antonio Berardi felt right at home.
Well, they've been really good to me here, and so I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's really nice to do this show in Milan. I am. Everybody proud. Me, my husband, or the family.
The collection was based on the Olympics, so there is that mixture of movement and whatever, and I wanted the movement to be in something that was so feminine that you wouldn't expect it.
I felt that his collection was probably the most wearable collection he's done that I've ever seen, but the end had these phenomenal floating dresses that were like neon pink and orange.
Normally it's like my colours are very delicate or blah blah blah, and this time I just wanted something really bright and uplifting.
Saturated colors, these chiffon, diaphanous dresses that were so beautiful. The suiting was amazing. It started out with these incredible white suits that had almost like a Grace Jones feel, where the pant came right to the ankle, and sort of a shrunken jacket.
There is an idea where, yes, we're proud of our bodies and we want to show our bodies, and then there's the idea that you want to be lyrical and you want to be feminine. So it's kind of, you either do something wholeheartedly, like really tight, but then at the end of the day, I don't really think that sums up a woman, and I think you have to show woman as a whole.
You could tell by the way the girls walked down the runway that they felt really beautiful and strong.
We did perforated leather. Instead of doing perforation the whole time, we did the embroidered leather, which you saw. And it was just to make it kind of a bit more sexy, a bit more funky, but without being sportswear, really. We're looking forward to something new, but with this millennium, which I keep hearing. So this was like the perfect opportunity. The collection was really based on Belloc's pictures of prostitutes in New Orleans.
Antonio Berardi hit a high-octane note for spring with a sexy showstopper presentation themed around ladies of the night.
And I took it back a bit to the Civil War period because I wanted the idea of the girls escaping with the Civil War soldiers' uniforms and remaking their clothes. So things are a kind of masculine-feminine mix. We had silk tulle, which was either embroidered or multi-layered. We had washed silk, and then we went to jersey, we went to cotton satins, and we had a fabric woven that was like a mattress cover, because I wanted that idea of bed. No lace, because I didn't want lace, and we had a chalk-dusted cotton drill. So it was all things like that, where they had a feeling of being used and a feeling of having been worn.
The New Orleans theme, Berardi incorporated direct references into his designs.
we did the big skirts, so they were like oyster shells, because oyster po' boy sandwiches and blah 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 and so on and so forth, and also because oysters are sensual. So it's kind of like, for instance, on some of the boots there were metal cherries, because cherries mean sensuality. Various things taken from voodoo, taken from things that are Creole. So when you had a fork and a spoon on a clog, the idea is that it means good and bad. So they're all kind of like twisted symbols, which I quite liked, because then it didn't take it too much in one direction. The leather we had like a very, very rough suede, which we embroidered with tiny flowers. Then we had a leather that was limed so that it had a powdery feel to it. The silhouette, obviously, Berardi we do very tight, because that's what people want from us. And I tried to give volume more in the evening wear, simply because, and in some of the tops. So we had lots of draping, but which actually clung to the body rather than draping that was very, very big, because it's not really what people want from me. Can you walk like that, Anna? Sì, bellissimo, grazie.
This season marked 4 years since the British-born design renegade Antonio Berardi decided to return to his Italian roots and shake up the Milanese fashion scene.
I chose Milan simply because I think it needs a breath of new life, and I think you know, there are so many great established designers here, but they really do need something fresher and something newer. That looks wonderful, Trish. Can you go like that? Che bella, eh? Trish, you need to do headshot, shoe, and 2 full length. The inspiration really started off with Patty Hearst. And I think what was interesting about her was the fact that she was from one of the premier American families. But at the same time, she learnt about the street. And she learnt about a completely different way of life than her own.
Other members of the Hearst family made an impact on Berardi's collection.
This is a sheepskin jacket, which is, it's asymmetric, and it's really based on, it's like a Mac, so all the details are like Mac details. And I wanted that kind of trench coat feel, because it then brings to mind people like William Randolph Hearst, as portrayed by Orson Welles in Citizen Kane. And to carry on the rosebud theme, you have jackets where the roses grow out in the oddest of places. Never really done black before, and it seemed right, I think, because for so long I've done colours and very, very pretty, very pastel shades. Berardi is very figure-hugging. It's very much about the body and about the female form. This time we've really played with proportion. This, in fact, is a cape, which is made of goat hair, and you literally slip your arms in. And so when it's worn, at the back it's a complete circle. The silhouette becomes much newer, and it's worn with something which is very, very tight. This is a handbag, but the idea is that worn with a nothing, it gives you silhouette. We've done a boot, which is in fact a shoe, which can be worn on its own. It has a separate part in a stretch leather, so it becomes an ankle boot. And then it has another part, so it becomes a full-length boot.
Berardi hopes to keep his label at the forefront of fashion.
The future of Berardi is really, at the end of the day, is to continue in what we're doing. It was kind of aristocratic gypsies and Sicilian widows, which to me was very, very similar. And I was kind of like looking at the way that over the years traveling folk have kind of become part of society. And I kind of took into consideration my parents that emigrated when they were very, very young because there was no work, and this, that and the other. I've always been fascinated by gypsies too, and to me the idea of moving away from your home, if you like, or being constantly on the move, but actually holding something in your heart, or from a place to people you've left behind and whatever else. To me, I feel like that because it's like I live here but my heart is in England, and so I feel a bit like a traveller at times. We've kind of reinterpreted shapes and silhouettes so that instead of having big gypsy skirts, we've done it all very, very small. So everything is kind of like, it's kind of big this way and very short. It's kind of like we've taken into consideration lace, but we've used an ecclesiastical lace, and the ecclesiastical lace is beaded so that it looks almost like it's been left out and it's covered in dew. You know, the idea where you would set up camp, but you have too many possessions in your caravan, so you actually put things outside. It was that kind of idea. Then we gave it a twist by doing the accessories were based on skinheads, and so that's how it started. From there, the bags unfortunately were stolen the other day, so we don't have any bags. They were being sewn in Naples because they have special machinery, because we did a special thing, and unfortunately the guy was held up at gunpoint and they stole his car with the bags in them, so we don't have any bags now.
Despite the grand larceny, this was still an especially personal collection for Berardi that gave him ample opportunity to reflect on his own history.
I guess that any immigrant, you know, the world over, what they teach their children is almost like an exaggerated version of the reality, because I remember it's kind of like from the way we were brought up in England to going to Sicily. I would sometimes say to my mother, but this is not as you described it, and she would say to me, but it was like that once. It's just that times have changed.
Antonio Berardi usually presents his progressive collections in Milan. This season, however, the renegade designer prepared to stage his first show in the City of Light.
I needed a new challenge, I guess. I think any designer's goal is to come and show in Paris. And we kind of took the plunge, you know, and fingers crossed.
The modernity of the Italian Renaissance influenced Berardi's summer collection. What was old became new, and the modern appeared aged.
I was looking at the Renaissance, and I loved the idea of that glory. I loved the idea with almost like very hard and, if you like, very heavy fabrics. They would cut into things and they would embroider things and open them out in order to give life and to give air. I wanted something very, very light, and so that was my starting point. And the colours, I loved the idea. I was at home one day and I was watching old Super 8s and all that faded glory almost. And so I loved all those hues, and so that's why I guess the colours came in. It was almost that idea of clothes that you feel you've had for years, that have lived with you, that somebody has handed you down, that become part of you. Because I guess, I don't know, that's the way I feel about clothes. I think it's kind of like there are some things I can't throw away, even if they've kind of like they've run their course, but they have memories.
At Antonio Berardi, the hair and makeup reflected a myriad of women inspired by silver screen archetypes.
The makeup look for this show is all based around kind of quite cinematic characters, as we've sort of seen that trend this season. It's very much there's like a kind of Dita Von Teese meets Betty Page section. Then there's a kind of masculine Helmut Newton woman. Then there is also a Sophia Loren character, and there's also one Betty Boo, and there's also one geisha.
These multifaceted characters, preparing for their close-up, took center stage at Berardi's winter show.
I kind of like the idea that women were, or the girls were getting ready. It's almost like, oh, and now I need to walk onto the catwalk. I didn't want that kind of moody, somber kind of girl walking down the catwalk. I just want them to be who they are. And I started my research with Greta Garbo, and I quite like that masculine, feminine kind of thing. And from there, it's kind of like I started to look at what women represent for me. Women care, women are powerful, women can be domineering, and I come from a Sicilian family and I know. But I like that, I like the strength, I like that sense of masculinity in terms of women wear the trousers. It's strict, it's quite stark. You're not just going to see one silhouette, you're going to see an evolution. And you'll see that from the beginning it's very, very strict, which is what I do. And then it becomes much softer. It's very monochromatic, and we just like hit it with flashes of colour. And I quite like the idea as well that it's winter, and you did have bright colour, and it's bold, and it's strong. I'm attracted to strong women. I like women with a personality. That's really what the collection is about. It's about that. It's about celebrating it.
In his Paris showroom, Antonio Berardi reflected on his devotion to craftsmanship as well as to his faith. The impact of both could be found in his summer collection.
Being born a Catholic, I guess you have a cross on your shoulder, you know, from the very beginning. So it's all those things that I guess have been inspirational to me, all those things that I've grown up with and all those things that I've known and loved or loathed. We had fabrics woven with silver going through it, so there were kind of like elements and motifs. And you have sacred hearts and papal keys that then become almost like razor blades in a band. This is actually one of my favourite pieces. And this was like a short robe manteau. And you can see these are key motifs, but they actually, from a distance, look like razor blades. This was almost like an altar boy's, like a tunic that he would wear over red, and that's why we presented these with red underwear. And this is literally done by hand. They don't love me too much at the factory because it's kind of like, you know, they'll try and find an industrial solution, and I'm like, well, that's fine, but I think people would appreciate it more if it had that hand-felt touch to it, which is something that I've always done, absolutely. The more laborious, I guess, the more I like it. This is the filet, and you can see that basically they're all put together in that way. And it's quite beautiful in that respect, because I guess on this it gave a sense of armour. These were roses because basically, as you know, in every church there's a rose window, and the nice thing is that it's on tulle, so it looks quite solid, but it has fluidity and it has movement. You can wear things that are either highly decorative or things that are very, very light, but at the same time it's kind of like there's still a sense of decorum. This is another fabric we had made. Basically, You can't really see it that well, but these were kind of, I mean, there are bunches of grapes in here, and there are stars and sacred hearts and flourishes and whatever else, and it's actually quite beautiful. There's a kind of sense of beauty in everything, and a sense of things being made by hand and things being special. Hi, I'm Antonio Berardi. We're in New York City, and we're going to Recon. So can you show me what's new?
Oh man, there's so much new stuff in here. Store started just based on I like what I do and I like things that I'm interested in. The toy wall is part of my collection. Just a little bit of what we're about. The store encompasses a little bit of our lifestyle, not just we sell sneakers or T-shirts. It's more of a bigger picture to it.
I only wear white.
Oh wow.
I find it really odd on my feet to wear colour. So it's just a white thing. And I have like 350 pairs of sneakers and they're all white. The exception I do have a pair that's kind of this colour. And that's it.
Being that you're all white and Air Force One is the uniform of New York City, I can see a nice white on white Air Force One.
Okay, superb. That's very
check that out. Goes right in the white theme, and being that you're in New York, this is the Uptown, the official sneaker of New York. Try these on, make sure they work for you. Put a little color in your day.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. They're really nice. So this is my second pair of coloured sneakers. Okay. Take those. That's superb. Thank you so much.
All right, hope to see you guys soon.
Me too. I'm sure I'll be back. Nice to meet you. Take care. Bye, guys. Now we're going to another amazing find in New York. It's called Nom de Guerre. You can see it written down here. And it's down in an old subway station. It's an amazing store. It's great. And I tend to normally buy things that you wouldn't know. Very, very kind of understated, especially for myself. New York is kind of pared down, and you find that in New York you have the best bits. It's kind of like I've just come back from Tokyo, where there's too much, and so it's kind of like it's almost like not conducive to shopping. Whereas you walk into a great store in New York like this one, it's kind of like, for me, it's brilliant because I possibly wear everything. Thank you very much.
Antonio, thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. See you maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
Bye now.
See you.
Thank you for coming shopping with me in New York, and I'll see you at the show. This is a new line that we've just started in Japan, and basically it's like a diffusion line. It's simply called Berardi, and I wanted something very, very clean and very, very easy and very everyday. The details, we have lots, from pockets on the simplest little trench coats that unzip and they kind of enhance the shape. We also have like barely there trenches where there is no back and it becomes like an accessory. We have jackets cut like Union Jacks because that's a part of me. Fred Perrys, which are kind of like cut and re-sewn together because I wear Fred Perrys the whole time. So I still wanted to inject part of myself into it because I think that's really important, and I love that there's always a part of my personality in what I do. I hope people see that there is another side to me. Sometimes it's interesting for people to see that you are capable of doing other things, and you are, and for me, it's like I'm capable of, satisfying another part of myself and my aesthetic.
This
season, Antonio Berardi showed a Gothic-inspired collection and also drew on literary characters from Daphne du Maurier's 1938 novel, Rebecca.
She's vaguely Gothic, but in a Mrs. Danvers kind of way. There's a kind of meanness and a strictness to her, and I guess that would best describe the woman this season. She's extremely sexy, tailored, strict, but at the same time I think there's a feminine element to her. So you'll see very, very strict tailoring, which in some cases is rubberized, and it's mixed with very, very light evening wear, but so it becomes much more fluid. And I think there's always that sense of masculine and feminine that I always play with.
Berardi also began a new venture.
It's a collaboration I did with Copenhagen for, they said to me, do you want to do it? We have a big market in Russia, so it's like, why not? And I think the possibilities are kind of interesting. I don't personally wear it, but there are people out there that wear it, that ask for it from me. We worked on shape more than anything else, so things are completely shaved into it. It's almost, in some cases, it's like topiary, and I think that's the nice thing. I'm a believer that it's kind of like, whether it's real or whether it's fake, you're still promoting the same thing, so it's kind of like, you know, in this case, it's real. We did a shoe last season that was heelless, and obviously people loved it so much that, you know, we decided to tell the company to make a boot in latex. So they're amazing, they're like fine legs. I think there's a sense of drama and a sense of modernity to them. There is a reality to what people buy, and I think it's kind of like there is a colour palette that will work for people everywhere around the world. Chartreuse probably isn't one of, you know, one of those colours that's going to work for everyone, but I think it's kind of like, it's one of those colours you look at and you think, I really like it, it's not for me. I wanted it to have a shot of colour and a shot of energy, and that's why we added in like a sunshine yellow as well, because I thought, you know, with all the kind of like, you know, the gothic quality and the kind of like, and the meanness of it, I wanted there to be some sunshine. I get petrified before every show, and I think that's the way it should be. You know, the idea is that it's not about being blasé. You know, it's a business. You have to look after people. You know, you have your team. You have to make everybody proud in a strange kind of way. So it's kind of like, you know, any mistake you make, it reflects on everyone. I think there are new things in this, but it's not taking away from the spirit of what, you know, Antonio Berardi is.